Husband's ex-wife was his best man at our wedding, but for 14 years, I was just the wife while they shared everything. Found out he considers her his soulmate when I got pregnant. Hello, everyone. My husband, 36M, and I, 34F, had been married for 8 years, together for 14, and we have a 4-year-old daughter that is our whole life. He had been married before with Eliza, his best friend. They married at 18 and lasted 2 years and divorced. They remained best friend, and when we started dating, Eliza, my husband's other best friend, Jack and my husband were a tight-knit. Eliza was one of the brothers and I always was the girlfriend and later the wife, always an outsider. His 2 friends are single, so our house was always a place to crash. Even since we moved together they would show unannounced and do their own thing while I made snacks and full meals. For the first year I tried my best to integrate into their clique but never worked out. It was always awkward and I felt I was inserting myself where I didn't belong, so I stopped trying and relegate myself to be great host and let them do their things. I didn't notice at first, but over the years resentment had built. I feel like a 50s housewife serving drinks and lighting cigarettes to men. My husband on his own is amazing and love him. He had been a great partner and my best friend during this 14 years. Problem is I'm not his best friend, Eliza is. Every single thing that happens in our life had to be discussed and analyzed with Eliza. Early in our relationship I got pregnant. I took the test early in the night and we were really scared. Despite this he was so reassuring with me, holding me the whole night and told he was ready to do whatever I wanted to do. I said I needed to really think about it. Next day we went to our classes and agreed to lunch together. When we met, he asked me how I was and all, then told he had the contact of a doctor who did abortions. It was illegal back then. I asked how he found one so fast when wasn't sure what to do. Answer: he called Eliza early in the morning and she had a friend. I felt so betrayed because this was something that belonged to me and he went and shared it with someone else, not just someone else's, Eliza's. Come on, he said. During the next days every time I saw him he has new information from Eliza and Eliza's friend. I was so confused and scared, and Eliza convinced my boyfriend we needed to it fast because it would be easier. It was so much pressure I agreed. Long story short, it was a rat hole doctor office and I almost died there. To this day I don't know if I should have kept the baby or no. But better not think about it. When my boyfriend proposed, Eliza was fake mad. He didn't said first to her he was going to propose to me. The only way to placate her was to has her as a best man, despite my husband having a male best friend. Every little or major event in our life turns into yeah, I'm gonna tell now Eliza, you know how she gets. I was SA as a child and told this to my husband. He was the first person I talked about it. Months later Eliza and I were alone in out kitchen and she started to talk about something she heard in the news about a girl raped by a family member and then hugged me. When I started to try for a child and I got pregnant, I asked my husband to keep this for us for a little. It was Wednesday. Sunday when I saw Eliza she congratulated me. I ended up miscarrying. I started to look for a doctor to help me deal with my depression, again, something I wanted to keep to myself. Eliza was so understanding. When I was pregnant with my daughter, Eliza came full of advice on things I should do. I told her to mind her own business, which really hurt her feelings. I stood on my ground and told my husband I wasn't going to raise my kid with Eliza and didn't want to hear any advice from her. This was a big fight with my husband because I was rude and Eliza was family and already considered herself an auntie. This had been the only time I had given an ultimatum to my husband: Eliza better keep herself away from my motherhood or we'll leave now. Resentment has reached a point when I don't want her near me or my house or my husband. I feel she is more married to my husband than I. My whole life feels like I live best friends to lover drama. I'm not sure why I'm writing this. Probably because I'm alone in a coffee shop and thinking I want my husband to be my husband and not feel like a lame love interest in someone else's epic love story. In the past my husband thought I was being childish. Despite loving him I can't keep to be married like this. I don't feel I can trust to talk to him again without involving Eliza. I don't want to hold an ultimatums. Update 1, November 22, 2024. I'm gonna start saying how thankful I'm to everybody that showed grace on my last post. This isn't a happy update. If anything, welcome to the pity, angsty train. After writing my post and reading how most people felt about, my head was full of dew and sadness. Your opinion isn't a surprise since most of my friends and family had voiced the same at some point. I guess I'm too slow and need to be punched harder to understand. Few days after my post, I took a pregnancy test and it was positive. Having a large family is what we always wanted, and ever since my abortion I was left with a feeling of having empty arms. So holding my daughter in my arms was like feeling whole again, and no, I need to grow my arms even more to hold my new baby too. But after the initial happiness, ugly feelings started to grow in my stomach. I didn't want Eliza in our life. It felt like taking my innocence glasses out and I was able to see her. Like really see her. How every smile was so damn fake, Every compliment was always mean spirit or kinda a self-compliment. Nice potato salad, it was great. Oh, remember, to my husband, that potato salad I made, it was kinda unbelievable, blah blah blah. Or nice outfit, I love how confident you are. I can't leave the house without making sure my outfit is flawless. Her reaction to my first pregnancy, wedding, travels, my second pregnancy, buying a house. How everything that should be between my husband and I, always include her, like if our life was a play she should write and direct. On our first Christmas together she came when we were decorating, and with all his positive Christics, I ended sitting in a corner drinking wine while she and my husband decorate. She is always here. And by here I mean in my life. She has a say in everything in my life, to the point that when my husband voices opinion I can say when these are his words and when are Eliza's. I'm no saying that since I wrote the last post everybody turned into ultimate evils, but thinking and rethinking about my life with my husband, I'd always been a passive character. It's like my husband got himself a pet and he and Eliza are going to be endgame when they both realize they never stopped loving each other. Some of you, as my sister, will say I'm dormant. I guess I am. I have let this go for so long that it becomes normal. My life isn't bad, my husband hasn't been a bad husband, and Eliza isn't so bad if the bar is she hasn't tried to kill me yet. I know is clear to you all, but to me it have been my life for years, my day to day. I learned to look away and make me small so I don't make others uncomfortable. Maybe because I'm pregnant and hormonal, but I'm tired of this. I love my husband, but I feel he can't love fully with Eliza whispering to his ear and him running like a golden retriever to please her. So after all that thinking and rethinking, I sat my husband down and told him we needed to set some strong boundaries because our marriage was working and I didn't feel loved or respected like a wife or even a person. I explain more of less what I said here. My husband denied everything and tried to explain himself, saying Eliza was like a sister to him. I say even siblings have boundaries. It was back and forth, with him making me doubt if maybe I was in fact trying to control who was or wasn't in his life. Wanting to monitor his friendships, and even joked if we'll need to sly away to have a drink with his buds. For a moment I feel maybe I was in fact crazy. But I was firm into my ground. If he wanted to keep this marriage, Eliza needs to be gone from our life. At first I thought low contact was good, but seeing his reaction I knew that wasn't going to be enough. Maybe I wouldn't be seeing Eliza, but he certainly will do, and I would be antagonized and mocked. Honestly, knowing this made me realize my marriage was over. So I asked important questions and pressed what his real feeling were. Why they divorced if they were so hung into each other. Why no leave me sooner? Why no leave me? Did he loves Eliza more than me? Why? What is that? What is that I don't have and she does that makes her impossible to leave? In a summary, he loves her, but he loves me, he doesn't understand how. Both of us bring something he doesn't want to miss. He is not sure if he wants a life with Eliza like the one we have, a marriage, a family. But she is his soulmate. They divorced because between then it was so much fire that we're burning each other. With me he has calm, peace and loving place to come back. He have never cheated, but admits he sometimes fantasies with her being me and me being her. They often talk about them having this life but agree that being together would break their bond. All fucked up, my God. I know as was kinda obvious to you all on my first post, and it should have been obvious to me, but hearing my husband saying he loves another woman that is his soulmate and he put her in the center of our life, made her an auntie to our daughter and some kind of sister-in-law to me, a supposed family friend. I'm not gonna lie, it broke me. I threw myself in the floor and hugged his legs and asked him what I need to do to him to love me, to only love me. I felt so pathetic, but I believed everything was worth to save something with so much value like my marriage. I cried and cried and cried. And the hardest part was to hear there was nothing I could do. This is all. I know isn't some shocking new. To me my life is falling apart. The only thing holding me up are two little hands that hug me every night and the small bean in my belly. We haven't discussed anything legal yet. He left the house and my sister and mom and staying with us for now. Update 2, January 12, 2025. Hopefully this is going to be my last update, but no the end for me. Thanks again to everybody that sent me announcing messages or replied to my last 2 posts. To clarify a few things people asked, guest, yes, I'm South American, I live in very religious country and was raised Catholic. Even if I don't follow any religion now and consider myself atheist, some things just are too deep in our brains. Also yes, I grow up seeing my mom crying over my dad's multiple affairs. I always thought I wouldn't never let something like that happen to me, but oops. Luckily I started to see a therapist and will heal a lot of things. Once of the very first things I started to discuss with my therapist was my abortion, how deeply that hurted me and how big was the impact on my mind. And yes, some of you guessed well. After the abortion I was determined to get something good out of a very traumatic event. Since I loved my then boyfriend so much, maybe our relationship could get stronger and better. And I fought hard for that. Then after a time it was more of, have I suffered so much for this relationship just to lose it over this one thing? No, and later it was just this is my life, go to sleep and get over the pain. Now I realize how alike that was to my mom mindset was while forgiving my dad. But since I was getting physically cheated, I never crossed my mind I was doing the same thing. Now on my husband and I. We are getting divorced. I put on my big girl pants and went to talk to him again. I promised myself and my children I would never beg to someone to love, and my children wouldn't have to grow believing that something is worth more than loving and respecting yourself. Okay, so I went to talk to him, mostly to I went yo say I wanted a divorce, that's all. At first I wanted to write all the things he did that hurt me and how much they hurt, but what's the point? Communication time is over for us as a couple. He was all shocked and then teary because he didn't want a divorce. He tried to convince me to take more time to think. Then he tried to negotiate what I needed for this to work. What I wanted and what he was willing to do. He was so generous to offer to take some distance from Eliza to work our stuff. I laughed like a maniac because he said our family means everything to him. Our daughter. Our new baby. I was something he valued so much. I was the heart of his family and he will always loves me and be thankful for all I gave to him. This hurt because he doesn't see me like a woman or his wife. I'm the mother of his children, I'm the one who takes care of him and his house and is thankful. It was a long talk. But it was mostly the same thing again and again. In the end he proposed me to keep the house, stay married because his job has a lot of great benefits and I should use them all even if we weren't together. He would cover all expenses and we could live in different houses. He reluctantly agreed to divorce. I'm working now on establishing new boundaries. I agree we should keep it friendly because we have 2 kids to co-parent, and since he doesn't have a place to live yet he could hang with our daughter in our home, take him to park etc. But then he was showing unannounced in our house, cook for himself and act live he still lived there. I was getting really uncomfortable. I had asked for his keys prior but he said he wanted to keep the keys for emergencies only. One day I snapped to either give me the keys back or I will change the locks. Again he was all teary because this was still his home. I said it wasn't anymore, so no more hanging out here. Now I'm thinking it's best to sell this house and find something new that can be mine and the kids' home only. As for Eliza, some of you will be happy to know they aren't together. He isn't staying with her and for all I know she has distanced herself from him. Maybe she only liked him when he was in a relationship? Or now her power trip is over, she isn't interested? He is pretty heartbroken. His absolutely best friend isn't with him now. Like really heartbroken. I know this because a mutual friend told me, and when he comes to pick our daughter he seems in a bad shape. He is unkeep and has lost some weight and always looks so tired. My pregnancy is doing fine. As you might have guessed, I'm not interrupting it. So between a divorce and having a baby this year, I guess I will have very eventful year. That's all I guess. Next story. Rich stepdad gave us everything after years of poverty and treated us like his own kids. But mom cheated on him with his best friend and we lost it all. Found her dead 2 weeks ago. I am a 16 years old male. I have 2 sisters, 10F, 8F. Our biological father was never in our lives. He left my mom when she was pregnant with me, came back 6 years later and said he wanted to make amends and that we could be a happy family. Somehow my mom immediately started saying that she loved him, but he left after mom got pregnant again. Then 2 years later he came back. I cried and begged my mom to not let him into our lives because I hated him. Well, he said the same thing. My mom also said she loved him and then he left after she got pregnant again. My mom was a waitress, so the 4 of us lived in a small 1-bedroom apartment. I was essentially another parent to my sisters because mom was always working. Sometimes, we wouldn't eat breakfast or dinner because we couldn't afford it. Other times, I did not eat anything so that my sisters could eat. My mom met another man, 45M, a year after my youngest sister was born. He is a really good man. His wife and daughter had died in an accident a long time ago when he was in his 20s. He met my mom when he was ready to date again. He is a really good man and treated us like his own children, and I consider him my father. He was very wealthy and owned multiple businesses. We eventually moved into his huge mansion-like house. I also had a better school there. We 3 siblings got our own rooms and I got better clothes, played video games for the first time in my life and a bunch of other things. He taught me things, helped me catch up in school because I could not do well in the previous school. He spent a lot of time with the 3 of us. My sisters eventually started calling him Dad. I followed shortly after. I remember him crying, hugging us and telling he loved us when we called him Dad for the first time. They eventually got married and Dad asked me to be one of his groomsmen, and of course, I said yes, while my sister were my mom's bridesmaids. Mom stayed at home to take care of us. As far as I know, they were very happy together. They went on dates at least once in 2 weeks, kissed each other frequently and always told each other that they loved each other. He also knew about mom's past and realized she had issues and got her into counseling. I was really happy that my mom had finally found someone who treated her well. I was also very happy for myself and my siblings and really loved him. He also said that he would pay for college for the 3 of us. My dream is to become a doctor and I never thought it would be possible cause it was so expensive and I was so freaking happy. Mom also told me she was very lucky to have found him and that she loves him and is very grateful of how he has made her and our lives better. Well, last year July Dad discovered that my mom was having an affair with his best friend who was also the best man at their wedding. Apparently, the affair was going on for a long time. I do not know exactly how long. Mom cried and begged him to give her another chance. He didn't, understandably. He let us keep all the new things such as clothes for me and toys for my sisters. When I went to him crying and asking him why he was leaving us, he just hugged me and told me about Mom's affair. He said the affair is too painful and that he cannot be in this marriage anymore, and then said that he loved me and my sisters. My sisters do not know about the affair. I do not think they will understand. He got a prenup so Mom did not get anything that wasn't hers. Dad just had to pay the rent of a new apartment until the divorce was finalized. We stayed in a decent apartment, but after the divorce was done we moved into a much smaller apartment. I tried to be in contact with him, but it does not seem like he wants a relationship with me. He has never responded to my messages. I sent a final letter to him last year December thanking him for everything he did for me and my sisters and that I loved him and would remember him forever. So now we're back to a one-bedroom apartment, skipping meals and barely being able to afford anything. I sleep on the floor now. My sisters share a bed while my mom uses another. Mom is a waitress again. I've also taken a part-time at a grocery store to help with money. I just hate my mom so much right now. I only took the job to help my sisters. I have also stopped talking to Mom. Recently she came crying to me and told me that she was sorry for ruining everything and she wanted me to talk to her. I broke down and just said I don't understand. Why did you cheat on him? He was taking such good care of you and the three of us. He was also going to send us to college. For the first time in my life, I was happy. You have destroyed my life. Why do you always have to ruin everything? You already did that twice when you let Biofather back in my life. I hate you. I never want to talk to you again. She was crying a lot after I said that. I am gonna admit, what I said was pretty rude, but at that time I was just so angry. I just hate her so much right now. I just wish she dies a very painful death. These thoughts are the only things in my head. It's making me go insane and I know it's not normal. I read online that therapy would be useful, but we can't even afford food on most days, so we don't have insurance. All I can think about is how she ruined everything. He didn't even ask for much. Mom was living such a luxurious life and was just at home taking care of her own biological children. I just miss him so much. Even my sisters keep asking when they are going back home or when they'll see Dad again. They've also started crying and asking for Dad a lot of times this past year. I just don't know what to do anymore. I am so frustrated and just angry at everything. I wish I could run from here, but if I did, who would take care of my siblings? That stupid mother can't do shit. I guess I'm here cause I need some help. I don't really know what to do. Some days, I'm just so tired and don't want to do anything. Other days I just wished I died and all of this ended. Thank you. Update. Hello everybody. About 2 weeks ago, I found my mom dead in our house. She had sent my siblings, 10F, 9F, to their friend's house and then hung herself. She really changed after she got divorced from my stepdad after she cheated on him. I made a post about it recently. My mom and I didn't talk a lot after that. One of the last things I told her was that I hated her and asked her why she ruined my and my sister's lives. I wish I didn't say that. Maybe she would have been alive if I supported her. I have had no contact with my stepdad after the divorce. My sisters and I live with my mom's sister and her husband now. We never met them before this and even my mom never had contact with them, but they are the only family that could be found and they agreed to let us live with them. My siblings and I don't like living here. Both of them are constantly shouting at each other and at us. We're just so uncomfortable here. I don't think they can afford food for all of us. I have a job at a grocery store, so I mostly buy food for my siblings. My boss is also very nice and allows me to take home some extra things for free. I really miss my mom. My sisters are also always crying for her. She had her flaws, but I still love her. She's my mom. The last thing I told her was that I hated her. I just wish that I told her that I love her and supported and helped her. Then she would have been alive today. What I told her tipped her over the edge. I can't do any of this anymore. I just don't know anything anymore.